This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network. A place where everyone is a loved member of the podcasting community. To link up with these shows and find your next podcast addiction, visit YouRunPodcast.com.
You want to die tonight?
Late at night, I tune into your show, where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in, as you pick apart movies on murder and sin. Scott and Mark set the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's fucking long roundups. You run podcast, horror movie review, sharing facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after you fled. You run podcast. You run podcast.
Catch you fuckers at a bad time.
Hello and welcome to the You Run podcast. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark.
It's horror movie review too. I don't know why I neglected to say that. You Run podcast horror movie review. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark again.
Again, hello again. How are you? We are a horror movie review show where you pick the movies, you get involved in interactive features. We release episodes every single Tuesday, and they're highly entertaining. You can also get early access to them if you sign up to our Patreon, but I'll tell you all about that later. We have a great episode lined up today. We're going to give you our review and scores for the movie we're covering. Then we're going to do a deep dive into everything we liked, everything we didn't like, and we're going to scatter a selection of this week incredibly interesting facts that honestly blew my fucking mind and completely warped my understanding of this character and this movie forever. So I'm about to ruin everyone who loves this character as he is. I'm going to ruin it today for all of you because it was ruined for me. After the review, we've got some interactive features. We've got 3-word reviews. We're going to be checking a lot of the comments we've had on Spotify that we've not really done anything with in a while. And we're going to be playing a game that Mark's going to love. It's called Am I Your Hero?
All right, that sounds interesting.
You have a massive hero complex, so I expect you to be incredibly good at this game.
So it's been said, yeah.
No, not so it's been said. Like, you do. You are like, you're the person that if an old lady fell over, you're like, oh, I'm going to rush and help her. But not only would you help her, you would then ensure that everyone else around knew that you'd helped her. I helped her.
No, I wouldn't be a glory. I don't do it for the glory. But if there's witnesses and it looks epic, then yeah, of course.
Like the slow-mo run.
Yeah,
I'm coming. That's you. Today we're doing back-to-back superhero movies because last week we done Brightburn and this week we are doing Blade. Blade is a loose adaptation of the comic book series of the same name with the same title character. In his first cinematic outing, Wesley Snipes takes on the role of Blade, facing off against Frost, played by the most 90s Stephen Dorff you will get in any movie. This is like Stephen Dorff at his peak 90th.
Yeah, he's cool as shit in this movie as well. He's not an actor I usually like. He just has that annoying face to him, but he's great in this.
Yeah, like growing up watching this, I'm like, you are one cool son of a bitch. Like, you really are slick. Frost has plans to eradicate the pureblood vampires and turn everyone else into vampires as well by summoning the blood god Lamagra. But to do this, Blade's blood is required. How exactly do you get blood from the world's most efficient vampire hunter? Well, it's easy. You send Donald Logue after them with an army of dispensable vampires. Just be careful that Whistler isn't there because he's a country singer with a badass attitude. And also, be very careful to avoid Dr. Karen Jansen, as her syringes will seriously fuck you up. Blade is one of my favorite action movies. It acted not only as a proof of concept that this type of superhero movie could be successful, it opened the door for movies like X-Men and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Ultimately, it is the cause of the MCU, because without this, none of the stuff that we have now would have naturally followed on. That being said, it's wildly inaccurate to the comics. It has some terribly dated CGI at the end of this movie. The dialogue is atrocious. Like, it's diabolical for the most part. Everything that comes out of Whistler's mouth, everything that comes out of Blade's mouth, everything that comes out of Donald Loeb's mouth, and everything that comes out of Frost's mouth, I'm like, who wrote this? Like, who fucking wrote this?
Pretty dire, like in some cases. It's not bad all the way through, but there are a few moments where you're like, ooh, that doesn't sit well anymore.
No. That being said, it's a 90s Wesley Snipes movie. This is exactly what I expected it to be. And it's got that energy that just makes you enjoy it. And the lore building in this is also really good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a 5 out of 5 movie, because I'd be lying. I can't even say it's a 4-star movie. Again, I think I'd be lying with how it's dated. However, it's great and you should go and watch it. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Interesting. I mean, me and you have spoken about Blade numerous times on this podcast, and how I've always bitched about Blade as not being a very good movie. The strangest thing happened. I've sort of shunned Blade for such a long period of time because I watched it very young. And yeah, when you're young, there's some cool moments in the movie Blade. But then when you experience Blade 2, at a younger age, you have no reason to go back and watch Blade 1, because Blade 2 is fucking epic, and it's just fight from start to finish. However, now as an adult, and having gone and watched Blade the other day, I just don't feel like I appreciated how great that movie was growing up, because a lot of the stuff in there, like you say, like world building, character development, just fleshing out the world that we are living in within this character, didn't appeal to me too much back then. I just wanted it to get to the good bits, if you will. Which it does. Blade 2 would just get straight to the good bits from start to finish. But I really, really enjoyed my experience with it this time around. So much to it that I forgot about. I forgot about Blade's mum at the end. She's weird, by the way. And then the whole blood god build up. There's just a lot of stuff within this movie that I completely forgot about. And stuff with all the Dr. Jensen stuff as well. Like, she's fantastic in this. She's a proper badass heroine. Why she didn't come back to the people is beyond me. But yeah, I really liked it, man. And I think now, given the option between 1, 2, and 3, definitely not picking 3 because it's dreadful. I love 2. I think at the mature age that I'm at now, I would probably want to watch Blade 1 more than I would want to watch Blade 2, to be honest with you. So I'm going to score this high. I'm definitely not going to give it a 5, because as you said, the CGI, even though it still holds up for probably 85% of the movie's runtime, where it counts in the big final action sequences, it does let itself down. Remember that being a thing back in the day as well. So it's not something that has just decreased over time. I don't think it was as good as it could have been. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think I really enjoyed my time with it, and I think if I had the option to pick between them, I'm probably going to pick the original going forward.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Can you move your mic up to you, because it sounds like your mic's gone off?
Oh, apologies. Hold on.
That's better. I can hear you now.
Right, sorry. Let me just increase the volume. Does that help?
Go back to where you were sat.
Does that help?
That helps. Turn it down ever so slightly. This is a very professional podcast here, because everyone's hearing this, because it doesn't get cut out.
It's the setup. The setup's different now. I'm just getting more casually laid back, and the more I lay back, the further away I am from my microphone. I tell you what I can do. Let me just bump that up a second. Apologies, folks.
professional as always. And stupidly, when me and Mark were sat talking before we started recording, it sounded great. And now not so much. I'll play a soundbite to give Mark some time.
Some
that's it.
motherfuckers always try to ice skate uphill.
There we go. We just needed to move up a rung.
Much better. You sound like you're with me now and in a cave. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate up a hill.
I never ever understood that quote, and I used it all the time growing up, thinking I was proper badass. But I don't get it.
So I'll burn a fact before we even get into anything. So when they were pitching the script to Wesley Snipes and he read it, he said that when he read Frost's character, he said he reminds me of someone who's trying to ice skate up a hill. He's never, ever, ever going to get to his goal. He's always going to slip back down because the odds are stacked against him. And the director liked it so much, he's like, we need to work the line for that into the movie. And Wesley Snipes went, I got you. Because so much of this was ad-lib. Like Wesley Snipes, a lot of what he done was ad-lib. Pretty much every line that came out of Donald Loeb's mouth was all him.
My favorite Blade, I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves now, but the thing is where he mouths what the fuck when he cuts Deacon in half at the end. Like, that is mega, because you're all thinking the exact same thing, but he does actually say it, and you're like, that's cool. It's a shame that Wesley Snipes didn't put as much passion into the rest of the franchise as he did this first movie, because this could have probably gone on for a lot longer than it did, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he's shown the same passion playing Blade until he done Deadpool versus Wolverine.
And the interesting thing about that as well is like he's a lot older and a lot more aged in that movie. And I was like, vampires don't age. But then again, in this movie, they do perfectly explain that Blade does age like a human.
He does, which is so clever. And also, like, it was written like that in the comics, that he was just a human who originally he was a human who was immune to vampire bites. And then in later comics, he got bitten by Morbius, which then gave him all of the abilities of vampires. But originally he was just a human who couldn't get turned.
Like, so basically like somebody in a zombie apocalypse who is immune to the infection.
Exactly that. But yeah, we're going to dive into this movie. But before we do that, we're going to do this.
It's Wednesday morning and the vibe is unglued. Her and Dizzle and Bitty in a what the fuck mood. From the arcade floor to the ranking of treats. It's the wild style chaos that'll knock you off your feet. Throw the script in the trash, keep the energy high. Cause there's nothing that's crazy passing them by. No filter, no limits, just a loudmouth crew. Doing exactly what the fuck they wanna do. What the fuck are you?
It's a cinematic ride, total chaos on the mic. Will and JT thrashing tropes that you like. From the jumpscares to the gore, it's a wild style feat. These crazy motherfuckers bringing real movie heat. They're the kings of the scream and the horror review, where the takes are unhinged and the show is too. Yeah, the script's getting bent and the vibes for the streets. Keep it loud, keep it proud with the boys of dead beats.
So head over to yourunpodcast.com. There you will find all of the members of the You Run Podcast Network. We've just added another new member today, which is Pizza Bones, which is a true crime podcast. So you need to go and check them out as well. Also on our website, you'll find links to all of our socials. We're at You Run Podcast, absolutely everywhere you can possibly think of. If you follow us on Instagram, that's where you get to vote on the movies. And that's where you get probably the most interactive stuff to play with, because that's where we've got our biggest following. On there, you'll also find a link to our Patreon, and there you can get early access to episodes, you can get additional shows, you can get exclusive content, and a ton of other stuff as well. Or you can go to patreon.com/You Run Podcast to get everything you could possibly desire from me and Mark and Heather. And yeah, just the You Run Podcast team as a whole. Now, in a twist to our normal scheduled programming, we have another ad to play. And this ad comes with the potential for a meet and greet for me. So let's play this.
SWF Compound is bringing you a night of wrestling you will never forget. Sunday, the 12th of July, Oasis Academy, Southampton. Thrilling entrances, jaw-dropping moves, and raw intensity. Plus former WWE superstar Scotty 2 Hardy. To book tickets, go to compoundwrestling.co.uk.
So-
way. Scotty to Hotties there.
Yeah, Scotty Too Hotty. He's going to be bringing the worm and the heat and everything that comes with it.
That's awesome.
KapowWrestling.co.uk. Their wrestling shows are awesome. They're run by a British wrestler called Chris Kay. And honestly, the amount of work and effort they put in, and obviously they're bringing Scotty Too Hotty this time. They're also, I will be there too. I have some front row seats.
I know,
So if you,
but in comparison to Scotty to Hottie, though, you know, you're the lesser of the Scotties, I'll be honest.
there are two Scotties damn hotties there. And you'll get the chance to potentially meet both of them because I think they do backstage passes you can buy on the night as well. If you're around and you can get tickets, pop down, come and watch the wrestling, come and see Scotty Too Hotty, and come and see me as well. There are going to be some more collaborations with Kapow Wrestling, but I'm going to save those. You'll find out about those as we go further through the year. One of them's definitely going to be a Patreon exclusive, and I think could potentially get us more new Patreon members than anything we've ever done before.
All right, cool. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds very interesting regardless.
It really is. So go and do that. And also, if you don't want to listen to these ads, if you go and subscribe to Patreon, you don't have to hear any of the ads or all the jargon that goes with it because all the episodes there are completely ad-free. Right, let's talk about Blade. I want to play a soundbite.
You can slice him, you can dice him, but the Queen Man just keeps on coming.
I like the cold open of this. I like the fact we start in 1967 and it instantly gives you context to who Blade is straight away.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's shot really well. You know, like the cinematography is really cool. It sets up the sort of the gritty tone of the movie, which again, it does lose in its sequels. And I forgot how dark this first one actually is in terms of it feels very much like, do you know when you used to get like those 90s police procedurals kind of things? Do you know like the Miami Vice remake with Colin Firth and stuff? It has that kind of vibe to it. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really sort of dark and gritty, and it goes straight from this into modern times with this girl leading a guy called Curtis who's got the worst backwards cap. He's about 45, hanging around with some woman in his 20s. He's like, I'm going to have the best night ever. Spoiler, guys, if any girl who is infinitely hotter than you and a lot younger than you tries to take you to a club in the meatpacking district, at a bare minimum, you are losing a kidney. Like bare fucking minimum.
I mean, he does show a little bit of restraint, as in like, what the fuck are we doing here? But she gives him a little smooch, and then he realizes, yeah, I'm going to follow my penis. Which again, don't do that. You know, it never ends well.
It really doesn't, and it ends so badly for him. I love this club. Like, it's based in the place, London's banging away, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And I don't know if you remember in the 90s, but when this movie came out and this song was big, every single nightclub would play this, and everyone was exactly like the Blood Rave, hands in the air, waiting for him to drop the bait. It's so cool.
Yeah, you see, I wasn't around for the clubbing days of this, but I've been in clubs where this has been played, you know. But I remember having like every Ministry of Sound CD from around the time of this movie's release, and it was on it for about 10 years straight, I think.
Yeah,
various different versions of it.
I'm convinced now, even today, if they dropped that song in a nightclub, it would still elicit that same response of, oh yeah, let's go.
Thing is as well, like I think if they ever do finally get the Marvel Blade movie off the ground, I think Marshall Ali has now stepped down, so he's not doing it, which is a shame because he would have been perfect in my opinion to replay Wesley Snipes' Blade character. But again, if this movie does ever get off the ground, they have to use that song at some point.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Sprinklers go off. The guy has the realization of, oh fuck, I'm gonna die. These people are all vampires and they're going to eat me. And he's crawling away, and he just, like, everything's soaked in blood, and there's just this pristine black leather clad Wesley Snipes. And I love the reaction of all of the vampires. Like, it's not like, get him. They all go, oh fuck, is it Blade? It's Blade. It's the Daywalker. We're in trouble. Like that. The fact that they establish he's caused so much trouble, and everyone is so terrified of him, I think is a great setup for his character.
Definitely, yeah. Because at the time, I mean, it's set up that these are like the menaces. Do you know what I mean? Like these are the sort of like high end sort of threat of the movie, and then
Yeah.
with minutes you see them cowering. Again, some of them try their luck, but for the most part, you can see the fear and the panic as all of them scramble from the club. And that's one thing that I misremembered about this scene. As much as it is a massacre, it's not quite the massacre I remember it being. I remember thinking everybody in that club just gets annihilated and Blade just goes on one. But he takes a bit of an ass whooping himself, to be fair.
Yeah, they get a couple of licks in. Like, I love the way the vampires die in this. And I'll be honest, for a movie that's almost 30 years old, the CGI on the dying vampires isn't actually that bad.
No, looks fantastic still, I think.
There are some terrible bits in this. The bit where he jumps in like that round, weird toilet room and he throws it, I don't know what you'd call it, the glaive, like slings it round the wall and it cuts all their 3 heads off. Like that, I was like, oh, that's a bit cheesy. He's got a big cheesy grin. And he follows it with pinning Donald Loeb to the wall with his pump action shotgun, and he gives it a proper like fist pump, like, yeah, got him.
Right, yeah, it was the fist pump that kind of killed the scene for me. But again, I thought that the effects looked really good. Like as the vampires, as he throws it around that circular thing that they're in, and it cuts off all their heads, and you just see the bodies fall before their heads, and then they burn into the ash. It just looks so good, man. It looks really, really cool. And again, like for practical effects and CGI wise, it's only really later on when he starts using the blue powdered stuff that it becomes an issue for me.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Like these early scenes, I've got no issues with this whatsoever. I also love the reoccurring gag that Donald Loeb could not keep a hand for the entire movie.
Yeah, he takes an ass whooping in this film, man. I felt bad for him at certain points. The worst one was when he gets his head slammed against a train. I was like, dude, you just cannot catch a break. Just realize you are no match for this man.
See, the fact that Blade cuts his hand off and he's like, you motherfucker, you took my hand. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of getting bored of chopping you up. So I thought for a change, we'd try fire. It just sets him alight. And just, like the police turn up. And as the police turn up, Blade does his Batman bit and just disappears. All that went through my head is that man, the human, who was the only human in that club, is going to prison forever.
No, he's ended up in a psych ward, man. That's the only place he's going.
Because the police are going to be like, what happened? He's like, they were all vampires. They all tried to kill me. And then this leather-clad, sexy black man come in and cut them all up. They're going to be like, I don't know if I buy that. So I'm really sorry. You're going. I mean,
the bleakest point of it all is really that the police are going to off this man anyway. Because as I've already said, the police are on the payroll. They're not going to leave any survivors. We know that man is getting killed by the police.
There's a scene that was deleted. This was the first movie in the Marvel world to have a Stan Lee cameo. Stan Lee was going to be the cop who come in at this moment and went, put him out. And they cut it. They cut it because they weren't sure if everyone would know who Stan Lee was.
No, and as well, Stan Lee plays a lot of like he needs a humorous segment in a movie, which again he goes on to have throughout most of the Marvel films anyway.
Yeah,
I think the way to kick it off with such a bleak movie like this, and especially such a bleak scene, wouldn't be very fitting to what he then went on to go and do.
No, I don't think it would either. I think it would have been nice to see him, and I've not managed to find the scene yet. If I do find it, I'll share it online. So Donald Loeb had a tiny role in this. Originally he was going to die in this moment. This was going to be the end of his character. Apparently he was so funny on set that the director went, if I rewrite this to put you in it for longer, could you like stick around? Because I think you're going to be great. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. They're like, we're on a really tight schedule, so you're going to have to ad-lib most of what you do. And he's like, yeah, fine, I could do that. So pretty much everything from here that comes out of Donald Loeb's mouth was just him off the cuff going, yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome. So he's basically the Steve Harrington of Blade.
He is. And like later, with some of his lines later, he's like, oh, I'm going to be naughty. I'm going to be a naughty vampire god. I was dying with laughter. So good.
Yeah, I like him a lot, man. He's really, really cool. And again, like for me, in this particular scene, because it's been so long since I've seen this movie, I was adamant he died, even when they put him out. And I'd forgot about the whole hospital scene where he comes back and he's all charred. And again, with Tracy Lords, I'm not very familiar with Tracy Lords per se, but I knew she was in the movie. And I know familiar of her because of the controversy surrounding her, and every time the stuff gets mentioned about her, it's like, oh, the girl from Blade. But she's barely in the movie either. She's just a girl who takes the dude to the club, and that's her role. And she tries to have a fight with Blade, and he tries to put her down nicely to the point where he gets bored and has to blow her head off, which is cool when he does it as well.
It's really cool because she fights him a couple of times and he's trying not to do it, and then she hisses at him. And with that, he literally punches her really hard in the stomach so she bends over, and then he blows her head off. And I'm like, yeah.
That's one of the coolest bits from that particular opening as well.
Yeah, I really like that bit. The hospital scene, I like because it sets up Dr. Webb, sets up her ex-boyfriend. And it's done purposely for what we get later. And I think that's really good. I also think the char burnt effect on Donald Loeb is
fantastic.
Incredible practical work.
I can't imagine that's Donald Loeb under that makeup.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, is it really?
It was Donald Loeb under that makeup. And during the shooting, he tripped and he basically he banged himself on the floor. And then he had a scene, the scene where he does the big like scream and runs away. When he done the scream, he actually dislocated his jaw, and they had to take him to hospital in all of all of the burnt prosthetics. And then when they got to the actual hospital, I had to explain that, yeah, look, we've been shooting a movie. He's not horrifically burnt, but he has dislocated his jaw when he screamed. He banged it, and then it's kind of fallen out.
See, the thing is as well, we live in an age where you wouldn't have had touch-ups, like you could just partially do not shoddy, but you could half-ass the practical effects because you could touch it up to make all the imperfections look better in post later on. Whereas in movies of this time, the practical effects had to be the practical effects. So I can imagine taking him to a hospital in that condition. It looked real.
Yeah, could you imagine being the nurse on the counter or the doctor on the counter when they brought him in? Yeah, he's coming in for his jaw. What about all of his horrific?
Yeah.
burns?
What about the rest of him?
No, that's fine. It's just his jaw he's worried about. Also, Blade tries to murder the doctor, and I don't care what way you cut this. He throws her out of a 7th-story window with no clue that there's some soft boxes the other side. He just grabs her and slings her out a window.
Yeah. I like this as well because I think it's an interesting character dynamic between the two of them, and I think they set it up really well to the point of Blade doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not the hero. He is the hero, but he's a man on a mission and he's here to kill vampires, and she's collateral damage. And it's only because of the flashback of his mother that he has empathy for the character. But at that point, when he throws her out the window, you can kind of tell it's well, if you make it, I'll keep you safe. But if not, no loss of my end.
Yeah, and also this is my favorite line in the entire movie. The police come in and start shooting at Blade, and Blade goes,
"What the fuck are you out of your damn mind?"
and the police sort of freeze like, "Oh fuck, we shot him 9 times, and he's just shouted at us. We better run away."
This is it, man. Like this, I think one thing that this movie really did for me was highlight how great Wesley Snipes used to be.
Yeah.
Like back in the old days when it was like Money Train and things like that, and he was so good, and White Men Can't Jump. Like he was fantastic in the early 90s, man. It's such a shame that he just fell off the way he did.
Well, you say fell off. You mean deliberately avoided paying tax for 30 years and then had to go and live in a non-extradition country while he paid it off?
Yeah, but again, it's like the drugs and stuff in it. You know what I mean? Like he just got really into smoking copious amounts of cannabis and probably a lot more other stuff that wasn't mentioned in the media and that. But it takes you, man. Hollywood takes you eventually, regardless of who you are.
It's nice to see he's bounced back because I think he was great in Deadpool and Wolverine.
He was great in Deadpool and Wolverine, but he'll never be Wesley again. Do you know what I mean? And even in that movie, like you could tell, like there was a sadness around his character in that movie. You know, like even though we saw him on screen and it was great to see him reprise that role, like he just looked half a man, in my opinion. You know, he didn't look like an aged Blade. He just looked like a man who's been through some shit.
Yeah, I think that's because he has.
I was going to say, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was more reflecting on his personal life than it was actually as him as an actor. And that's every time I watch him in those movies, I'm like, ah, dude, like this is sad for you, you know, like I'm great you're having this opportunity again, and it's Ryan Reynolds of all people who's given you it, considering you were such an arsehole to him in Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
But like you look shit, man. You know, like I'm sorry your life panned out the way it did, because you were the superstar, you were the rock star, man. You were the man of the era.
Yeah, and you're not now.
No.
What do you think of the council elders, the vampire elders? Because I think these are a seriously cool set of people. And I love the dynamic they've got with Deacon Frost. It's almost like he's a naughty kid.
But again, like I found that really confusing this time around. I felt they were lacking in severe presence, which is something that they get extremely right in Blade 2. You know, the elders are a fearsome threat within that movie. But here, the way that Deacon's talking to him very much undermines their authority throughout the vast majority of the scenes that he's in with them in that council room. Like nobody really stands up to him to the point where it's like, we are the fucking royalty, you know, and you're just some pumped up little errand boy. You walking in here smoking a cigarette, running your mouth. Who the fuck are you? See, none of them step to him like.
No, and I don't think they did, because he's amassed such a following. I think, like, you see it later when the main head vampire like confronts him in the archives, and Deacon Frost gets right. Yeah, and I think because Deacon Frost has built this army of half-blood vampires around him, it's very much like the superior like leaders have realized, if we push this guy and he goes for us, we're fucked. Like,
but again, and I think I do feel like he was maybe miscast a little bit by Stephen Dorff. Like, I like him in this role and I think he's great, but I think the character itself demands a lot more presence and screen sort of control, you know. But when you see him, he looks like he should be coming off the back of an American Pie movie.
Yeah.
So to me, he doesn't have that sort of stature within the screen, especially amongst such sort of high-powered people. His presence doesn't strike fear because of the actor they've chose to play that role. And I'm not knocking Stephen Dorff in this movie. I think he's great. You know, we've already said I do like him in this role, and it's probably one of my favorite roles of his. But when you pit it against what his purpose is within the film, I think somebody with a little bit more strength and stature, someone's taller, stronger, who has sort of a similar build to Blade, would have been able to captivate the imbalance of what he was bringing to the screen, in my opinion. And that's nothing to take away from him. I think he's fantastic in what he does, and it's not his fault. I just think the character itself feels like he should have a greater presence within the purpose of the story.
If you go with like comic book, Deacon Frost was a lot older. He was an older man. We may as well do it now. So if we comic book Blade is very different to what he is now. The whole build up with him and everything is very different. So originally Blade is a Englishman. He was born in a brothel in 1929. His father is Deacon Frost, who fed on his mother when she was pregnant with him. And basically he turned Blade. He made Blade.
So again, like he did, that's factual in this movie though as well. Like he is in essence Blade's dad, I suppose.
Yeah.
He's not biologically through human interaction, but it turns out that Deacon is the one who bit his mother.
Yeah.
Hence why he became the Daywalker, and everything comes full circle and
a
little bit too neatly, in my opinion. But
but in the comics, he was a much older gentleman. So there's an element in the comics where Blade looks at him as almost like, fucking, you're my dad. Like, I don't know how I feel about fucking you up. There's that element to it as well. Also, Blade didn't dress all in black. He wore really outlandish costumes. I think at one point he had a purple Spider-Man costume. He had a big afro.
Wow.
He was a completely different character. He also didn't have all of the abilities of a vampire. He was just immune to the bite. He doesn't get all of those abilities until later in the comics when Morbius bites him. So
Yeah, I remember hearing that Morbius had an influence on the Blade storyline somewhere. But that's
massive.
wild. That is such a contrasting thing because the comics that I've seen nowadays are Wesley Snipes accurate.
Do you know they after the success of this, they retconned the comics to redesign him to make him look like the now incredibly popular Blade.
Which you can't blame them for doing, to be honest with you. Wesley Snipes kills it. One thing I always wondered, did you remember that TV show of Blade? Did you ever watch it?
Yes.
Any good?
No.
Was it one of the Wayans brothers who played Blade in that, or someone who looks like he should be a Wayans brother?
Yeah, he looks like he should be a Wayans brother, but it's not a Wayans brother. It wasn't as good as this. I think it got 1 season, may have got 2, but it didn't hit. It's a little bit like the Crow TV series. It never really hit its stride properly. It didn't land the same.
I think it's hard when you try and take such a popular IP to do something like this. I think the only one that's ever really come close to me was when they did the From Dusk Till Dawn TV series. I really liked the first season of that. That was really cool. But they heavily focused a lot of the story based on the movie with the Gecko brothers, and I think that's why it was relatable and the casting was pretty good in that. But there's been some dreadful ones that I've seen come out, usually revolving around Stephen King properties, if I'm honest with you. But
or Resident Evil.
That TV series on Netflix was fucking wild. I don't know what direction they were going in with that, which makes me slightly nervous because we've got Craig's version coming in September. The early screenings have been saying it's Mad Max Fury Road with zombies, which puts me in good stead. I think he's pulling very much away from the games and creating his own story, and I think that's going to worry me a bit. But again, this is maybe what video game adaptations need. Something that's set within the world, but not something that can piss off fans by trying to replicate something they love.
Fallout is the perfect example. Fallout is the best adaptation of a video game ever made, and I'll die on that hill.
I still haven't seen season 2 yet. Is it good?
It's just so much better than season 1. Like,
that's good.
It's so good, so good. Anyway, back to Blade. I like the fact they introduced familiars. I'll be honest, growing up, this was the first movie I'd ever seen a familiar, someone who works for the vampires. And Blade kicks the fuck out of this cop. This cop gets the biggest kicking in the whole movie, and it goes on forever.
Yeah, it really does. And I like it more when they take it outside and he's just slamming him against the car in broad daylight. He's in a police uniform, and there's people on the street looking around at this stacked black dude in a leather trench jacket just beating this police officer off this car.
It's the fact when Blade goes to get his gun out to shoot him and Karen's like grabbing his arm going, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. And again, that was a cool ploy because at the time they're setting her up as if like, look, fend for yourself. This is it. The whole time they were just using her as bait.
Yeah. And I like the fact that obviously she gets bitten in the hospital and Whistler gives her an injection of garlic and silver, which I'm pretty sure would kill a human anyway. But he gives her that and he's like, well, I'll give you 50-50. You might be all right.
Does it work?
What? No, it doesn't, because she starts to turn and then she's like, well, it doesn't matter because I can cure myself now anyway.
But when does she start to turn? I know she starts getting a little bit in the car with the lights and stuff, but she's not ever like shown. You could just see that as being a human's reaction to bright lights. But then for the rest of the movie, she's pretty normal. She never gets first. She never seems to waver much.
It's when she's like checking her neck and Whistler comes in. And he's like, yeah, you've probably got 24 hours.
Maybe 2 days at best.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Which shows that in this world, it takes a long time to turn. It's like a 2 to 3 day process, which is,
Blade fucks her up at the end anyway, so there's no chance of if that didn't do it, Blade certainly sent her over the edge.
Yeah, Blade, there's feeding on someone, and then there's what Blade done. He went at her like she was a Capri Sun.
And again, like again, watching this as a young child, I didn't realize the symbolism within that particular scene, but it's a very sex reference heavy scene, you know, to the point where Blade is practically climaxing at the end, drinking human blood, you know, and it's fucking cool, man. And I didn't pick up on a lot of that shit when I was a kid watching this movie.
It's like everything in this is really cool. I really like where they work out that like the guy was going to the archives, the vampire archives, and Blade and Karen go there with the big, like the bit where Whistler goes, "Oh yeah, I've made this big UV torch for you," and Blade's like,
It's still heavy. You're so big.
like that is just so funny. And then
And
they
again,
go there, and they like
oh yeah, we'll get to Pearl. But again, I just want to say how much I love Blade and Chris Christopherson in this movie. Like, I really like them in 2, but Whistler's very standoffish and sort of like, I can't remember what he is in that. He's like part vampire, part not vampire. You never know if he's a good guy or if he's being turned to be one of them. In this first movie, the relationship between him and Blade is just chef's kiss, man. It's so cool.
It's really good as well because they show zero affection towards each other. There's even a bit where Karen's like taking Blade's blood, and she's like, "You care about him a lot, don't you?" He's like, "Yeah, we've got a good arrangement. He makes the weapons and I use them."
And even that point where he's like in the subway fight and like Whistler's fucked basically, and Blade's like, "Yeah, he can look after himself, fuck that old dude," sort of thing. And then you're like, actually no, I don't think he's just survived that explosion, Blade. I think you've literally just fucked him off. And then you just see him hop down that little hole later on, and you see Karen's face as if to be like, "Oh, okay, fair enough, maybe Blade's not such a dick."
And the thing is, like, Whistler is the pivotal character. It's Whistler's attack, and which is brutal, by the way. When Stephen Dorff comes in, he's like, "Come on then, get it over, bite me." He's like, "No, I'm not going to bite," and just stomps the shit out of him, and then lets Donald Lowe bite him, and then like Blade comes and finds him. Like, it's that moment where he's like, "Give me the gun," and Blade doesn't want. He's like, "Give me the gun," and Blade walks away, and you hear bang. It's that moment that tips Blade over the edge from being, "I'm kind of pissed off and I'm going to kill you," to every single vampire is about to die right now.
Yeah, and that's when he goes full fucking Terminator mode, which is awesome, by the way. But one thing that I really liked when I watched this movie this time around is this isn't necessarily Blade's story. It's Whistler's.
Yeah.
Like, this is Whistler's vendetta. This is Whistler's sort of arc and journey and sort of vengeance streak that's caused all of this, you know? And he even says at one point, like, "I almost killed Blade," you know? I don't know what it was that made me keep him, sort of thing. And it was Whistler. And again, like, I always thought, like, with part 2, they just expanded and added this whole thing. But no, they do such a good job in this first movie of establishing, no, there's a network of us. We have a team. There's bases out there, and we follow them around from city to city, you know? And I just always put it down to, oh, well, it's a sequel. They've got to expand. I know it wasn't mentioned in the first movie, but no, it was mentioned in the first movie. It is said that there's more of them out there.
Yeah.
You know?
And even like the comic book linking, so like Dracula is an actual character in the Blade comics. Blade does fight Dracula like he does in Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
And like the vampire hunting team is very different. So in Trinity we get Whistler's daughter and we get Ryan Reynolds' character, but in the comic books we have the descendant of Jonathan and Mina Harker and the daughter of Van Helsing.
That's cool.
It's cool as shit. And like when I watch Blade Trinity now, knowing that, I'm like, oh, come on, that would have been so much fucking cooler. Having Van Helsing's daughter going, "Yeah, I'm like the 17th generation of vampire hunter. Blade, you're cool, but I can fuck you up because I'm even better." That would have been awesome.
Yeah, but I get why they haven't. You know, you're very much pigeonholing an audience when you start incorporating stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, this did get criticised for Whistler. So he's based on the book character, which is Bible John Clark. And Bible John Clark was a black character who raised Blade and helped Blade and taught Blade all about the so very much does what Whistler done. When this came out, there was a lot of criticism that Whistler was a whitewashed version of that character. And I don't necessarily think, I think Whistler's become his own thing, and he's been introduced into animated series, and I think he is part of the comics now as well. So I don't know. I don't necessarily agree that he was a bad thing. I think Whistler's great. And Chris Christopherson, what an actor that man is.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome. I don't know. Is he the dude who sings with Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
Is that who Chris Christopherson is?
Yeah,
he has the coolest name as well, by the way. Like, he has the best name ever.
He's so amazing. I like Pearl. I think Pearl is such a cool character. And what makes Pearl so amazing is when they're torturing him with the torch, he's like, what's this on the disc? He's like, I don't know. It could be like a video game. And they torture the shit out of him. He's like, oh, right. Okay. It's the blood god. It's the blood god. He's like, and what does the blood god do? He's like, well, I don't really know. I'm just a key. And then they burn him again. And Blade's like, he's like, if he moves again, scorch him. And Karen's there with the torch going, yeah, okay. And Blade's trying to get into the other room. He's going, what's in here? He's going, oh, nothing. It's just a storage room. There's old boxes. And then fucking Karen destroys Pearl. And Blade looks at her, she's like, he moved. Like, you told me to kill him. If he moved, he moved. Like, that whole sequence, I think, is so clever. It's so well set up. And it's done in a way that when they get into that room and they find like all the pages of the Vampire Bible, it sets up what I think is one of the coolest fight scenes, and also shows how good Whistler is tied into everything. Like when Blade's caught and like got the garrote round his neck, and Blade starts laughing, and Dumbledore's like, what's so fucking funny? He's like, I'm expecting company. Boom.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And again, like, because I haven't seen it in so long, I thought this was the moment that immediately sort of kickstarted us into the final act. I knew the train sequence was missing, but I couldn't remember how we got there. And I thought, well, this is your opportunity. You've caught Blade now. How else are you going to get him again? And I forgot Whistler had come in this moment and sort of busted them out. But I like the setup here, and I like the room. I think it's really cool. I feel like they're all very disrespectful to such ancient artifacts, the way they start unleashing weapons within sort of such a holy sacred.
Do you know, I thought this, you've got all these vampires and this is their Bible. It is their original Bible. And they don't give a fuck. They're throwing Blade through it. They're kicking each other through it. They're shooting through it. And I'm like,
and again, I suppose in a way that just shows the ignorance of this new breed of Frost's sort of minions. Whereas if it had been the purebloods from the council, there wouldn't have been a bad word uttered within the presence of the stuff that they were surrounded by. And I think it shows, you know, and that's again another thing that does really well in this movie. The characters and their build up and their sort of drive and purpose throughout is really well established. Like even when Karen's blasting the fucking fat dude on the sofa, you know, you can see she's doing it out of anger now, not just, she has no sympathy for this character anymore. Like he has a soul, you know. He's like, you fucking vampire cunt, you bit me now, I don't care. And she wants to inflict that pain on him, and it shows her changing. So I think it's good. I think it's fleshed out really well, especially on the character side throughout this movie.
Yeah, and I think even like on Frost's side of things, like where Frost and his gang go and get the head vampire and take him out to the beach, and they're like, oh, have you never seen a sunrise? Oh, no, that's right. You're a pureblood. Well, you're going to get to enjoy one today. And like as the sun rises, they just drop the visors on their motorcycle helmets and watch him burn and blow away in the wind. Like, that's cool.
Right. So this is where I started to get a little bit annoyed with this movie. There's no, right, yeah, which is established in, I think some of the later sequels, they sort of do showcase it a bit more. It's maybe part 2 because he teams up with the vampire, doesn't he? Yeah. I think they would have reason to sort of go into a little bit more depth with it, but they never do with Frost in this movie. I know we can piece it together, but that point where, yeah, his skin looks a bit whiter and he maybe looks like he's got some cream on, but they never explain it.
No, but he does say, like Blade says the word sunblock, and he's like, well, it's a start. And then like even as he's about to throw the girl, Blade goes, your mascara's running, because his sunblock has started to melt away. and he sort of pushes it back on.
Ah, right. Okay, I missed that. That's my bad then. I didn't pick up on that.
But Frost is brutal here. Like that little girl, like he didn't just throw her into the road; he throws her through a hot dog stand into the road. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's a child.
Again, though, it's characters, man. He's already established early on that he has no empathy for the humans. Why are we working with them? We are the supreme race. You know, and he says that clearly in the boardroom meeting. Like, he has no empathy for humans. Even when he kills a copper, when he comes back and tells him, like, oh, Blade's been setting me up, he's been following me, just like, I'm tired of your shit. Just rips his neck out.
I think his best line is like, why are we making treaties with these people? They're our fucking food.
Exactly, yeah.
I think Frost is a great character. I also think that, like, the way that they need Blade makes it so much more interesting, because Blade wants to get to them, and Blade basically puts himself into the middle of it. So after Whistler's died, Blade's like, well, I'm going to this temple because I know where it is now, and I'm going to fuck you all up. And he takes on so many in what I can only describe as the bank scene from The Matrix.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's pretty much that scene all over again, and he gets caught. And this is where we get the introduction of his mother, who is incredibly like this isn't his stepmom. Like, if this was his stepmom, this would be kind of like a little bit kinky.
No, it's still weird.
It's still weird, but it would be less weird than it being his actual biological mum rubbing her hands up and down his muscles and like going down near his groin. I'm like, what are you doing?
She tries to justify it by saying, I've been a vampire for 30 years now, rah, 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 I've changed, I've hunted, I'm not the same person. But still, like, that's your son. This is weird.
It's a really odd directorial choice.
Yeah. But again, like, it's really interesting here because, like, it doesn't follow that cliche of, oh, well, this is a coincidence that we need Blade, even though it kind of is, but it kind of tries to justify it slightly by Deacon being the one that's so obsessed with this blood god situation. Yet it's him who's created the Daywalker in the first place by biting Blade's mum.
Yeah.
And like it all coming together like it does. It's very neat, you know, like almost too neat, but it could have been less neat by just having Deacon not even being the one that turned the mum, but him being the one that, you know, like the fact that he was the one who caused this whole full circle moment it's almost like destiny, if you will, in a way. And I like that about it.
He's part of the prophecy. Also, the one thing I spotted in this has got a scene where he's like with the elders, and it's very much that scene from Star Wars Episode 3. There's a moment where they're like, you're on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. It's got that whole energy to it. And Deacon's like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is outrageous. It's so, like, I love the fact that they kind of respect him as being a really bad fucking dude. And like, you're cool and like, you could be one of us, but yeah, no.
You're not.
And he's got such a chip on his shoulder about it. The way they torture Blade and all the blood coming, I'm going to say the blood coming down through the things looks great.
Yep.
Looks great. It's not until it sort of comes to the point and then we get the really dodgy CGI blob that it starts going wrong.
The red flubber.
Yeah. I also like Karen being thrown down the pit with her ex from the hospital.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, is there zombies in this law? Is that it wasn't until he charged at her with his vampire teeth that I was like, oh, okay. But like he looked like he's had a healthy set of meals down there.
Yeah, it was Deacon explained it quite well. He's like, yeah, sometimes when you bite someone, like we don't know why, but they don't turn quite right and they just end up a bit fucked up. Anyway, go and meet him and push her down the hole. But yeah, her getting out, I think, is cool. I really enjoy from this moment on, as soon as Karen gets out and she lets Blade out and the rituals happened, it's a success. Deacon is now the blood god. Blade feasts on her. Mm-hmm. And when he goes from this point and he does that swan dive from 19 stories into a superhero pose. I'm like,
Yeah, but before he does that, he has that fucking weird fight with his mother, which, let's be honest, she could be very easily dispensed. I don't know, especially in the sort of like pit of rage that he's in at the moment. I don't know why he let that go on as long as he did, because it was very corny, and I was like, oh, just dispense this bitch so we can move on.
Yeah, like when he does get down though, it's like Donald Loeb's like, "Oh, you motherfucker! I am gonna fuck you up so bad." It just pulls like a wire,
the piano wire, and just fucking cuts his head off. I'm like, in a way, I'm kind of at peace for Donald with it. I'm like, dude, just accept it. You have tried numerous times in this movie, and he has fucked you every time for trying.
The thing is, not only does he cut his head off, Donald Loeb was wearing his sunglasses, which go spinning into the sky, and Blade just plucks them out with his fingers and puts them on. I'm like, this is cool. This is
which becomes a staple of the franchise as well. They do that in every movie.
Yeah, is it Blade 2 where Whistler throws him to him off the balcony and he catches him without even looking?
Yeah, and again, that's a very weirdly edited scene if you watch Blade 2 now. Like, he throws them, and then it's like choppy from other bits of the scene, and then again, he catches them, and then it's weird. If you ever watch Blade 2 in the coming weeks, pay attention to the scene where Whistler throws the glasses off the balcony. I don't know how they missed it in post. It's fucking stupid.
Is it?
Yeah.
This originally had a different ending, which I want to talk about briefly before we talk about the actual ending. So in the original ending that they decided was too bleak, and they weren't sure if they were going to get a sequel, so they changed it. Frost was going to become La Magra, and a red blood tide was going to wash over the whole of the city, turning everyone that it touched into a vampire. It was going to end with the vampires winning and Karen managing to smuggle Blade out of the building. And it was going to lead into a proposed sequel where Blade, Karen, and Whistler traveled the world, hitting and destroying vampire food storage areas to basically reduce their food stock to then go after them. But they were unsure if they'd get a sequel, so they decided against it.
Yeah, I think they made the right call. I think given the sort of gritty simplicity of the storyline of this movie, something so overtly extreme at the end, undercut what we'd sort of experienced, in my opinion. And I think that's one of the reasons why I dislike Blade Trinity so much. It's like that fight against Dracula, like Blade's a street level vigilante kind of Punisher almost character. But then when you pit him against somebody like Dracula, it feels sort of imbalanced, in my opinion. And I don't think they got the ending of that movie right either on Blade Trinity.
No, I believe in the comics, every time he fought Dracula, he fought as part of a team. He had his own team called the Night Stalkers. He also fought him with the X-Men. I think he may have also fought him with the Avengers, because Blade was an Avenger at one point as well.
Cool.
One thing we did miss out on is Karen's she starts saying, "Oh, I can make a serum." Oh, Blade, have a look what happens when you introduce this to vampire blood. And she's like, "Stand back, it might be energetic." And the whole fucking microscope explodes in his face. He's like, "That's not going to cure me." She's like, "No, but it's really good at exploding vampires. Maybe you could use it." Like, this is that one thing that fucks the CGI in this movie.
I think so. I think it was just reaching. And it's a shame, really, because the stuff with Deacon where he cuts his hand off and you get that weird floating blood sort of drippy stuff, I just don't think the technology was there yet. And I think there's a lot of films that fall victim to it of this time period. Spawn, well, no, fucking hell, Spawn's its own mess altogether. Let's not compare this to Spawn, Jesus Christ. It seems like this that are bad, and I think they're forgivable, but I don't think they're that forgivable because at the time they were bad, and that's one thing that when I watch a movie like this and I'm like, the CGI is not dated particularly well. But I remember it being good at the time, being sort of revolutionary. I can go back and watch The Matrix now, and there's stuff in that I'm like, I I remember this being groundbreaking. There has never been a point in my life where I remember the final scene from Blade being groundbreaking. I always remember
No.
wincing at it and being like, oh, fucking hell, maybe you should have done something a little bit different with that if you couldn't fulfill it the way you wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I hold the filmmakers responsible for. Like, I would like to see this movie have an update, you know, like a George Lucas Star Wars remaster.
Yeah.
Because I think it would massively benefit from it. Not with any of the earlier stuff of the killing of the vampires and the fading to ash and skeletons. I think that stuff still all looks fantastic. It's just this back 20 minutes. The first two, when he busts in on the motorcycle and he kicks a one through the eye, you can see the effort where they've tried to blend practical with CGI. But when the CGI does overpower the practical, it looks fucking bad, you know? And I don't even mind like when the blood gods come out of all the elders, you know, and it's a skeleton sort of flying bats. That even looks really, really good, in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't look really good, but it still looks okay for a 90s movie. It's just the stuff with the blood.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 30-year-old movie, and I think for a 30-year-old movie to hold up as well as this, we've reviewed movies from 2020 that don't hold up as well as this.
Oh, definitely.
I don't think it does a bad job. I also like how he takes Frost out. Like, we get this really cool sword fight, which I grew up watching things like Highlander. So this for me, I'm like, this is so cool. And then when he does, like, he throws all of these syringes at him, and the last is like, he hits him with the line, some motherfuckers always try to ice skate up a hill.
Brilliant.
Throws one in the air and does like a spinning fly kick to put it in his forehead. Fucking awesome.
Really, really cool. Like that is like how you end it. I do find the Frost fight underwhelming.
Yeah.
But again, that's only purely because I think Frost is miscast. You know, I don't feel like he's a worthy adversary for Blade, even with his heightened powers, because he still looks like he's just fucked an apple pie, you know? And for me, I think that's what kind of lets it down a bit, is just him in that moment, you know? Because the fight scene does go on for a while. But if you had somebody who was more imposing as a character, it would feel more impactful, in my opinion, than it actually does.
I do like the bit where Blade stabs him straight through the chest, and Frost looks at the blade, looks at the sword, looks back at Blade as if saying, like, what the fuck are you doing? Just like sends him flying, just like punches him in the chest, sends him tumbling.
I mean, this is after Blade's already cut him in half and he's just like glued himself back together.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I also like the way they set this up for a sequel. So obviously they get out, him and Karen are on the roof. In the original cut, Morbius was going to be on the rooftop looking across. That video's already on our it's on our Instagram. You can go and look on there and see fucking 7,000 people arguing in the comments whether it's real or fan made. Which has really annoyed me. Not that I'm bitter. Like I went to the effort to find the clip, and everyone's like, "Yeah, this is fan made. This is AI." It's like, it's fucking not. And he's like, "Yeah, don't cure me. Make me a better serum." And then we get that post-credit scene. Blade in the snow, and he's like, "Are you going somewhere, comrade?" And like you see him do his like line in the snow with his sword, and then it just goes. Doof. Was like, yes.
Yeah, it's really cool. I always wonder how he managed to travel with all his armory. I can't imagine getting them through customs was an easy feat, but but it's cool. And again, I like snow in any movie, so to see that is great. There's a lot about this experience with this watch that has made me think, why didn't you follow on with that in the sequel? Like, where was Karen? You know,
I don't know why she didn't come back, and it doesn't make sense for her not to be back. I don't get me wrong. I like the addition of Scuzz, who is
brilliant.
Norman Reedus. I think he's a great addition. I also like the way they bring Whistler back in. But yeah, it doesn't make sense for her not to be there, and they never explain it. They just ignore it like it never happened.
Yeah, but not even like a post fucking like text at the beginning to say she turned or
died or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Nomak is a good addition to that. I think Nomak is Luke Goss. What a villain he is.
Yeah. I really, like I say, I love Blade 2. I've spent the past 10 years worshipping Blade 2 as the best in the franchise, you know, and I still think to a certain level it is, you know, but I think there's much about what I've experienced with rewatching this first movie that's very story and character driven that I never really appreciated before in previous watches. Whereas now I'm like, that movie's fucking awesome, you know? And I think even if this movie came out today, barring the wonky CGI, I think it'd be fucking adored by fans. And I think it holds up to that sort of level where it's like, yeah, this is something refreshing within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, like this would fit in nicely now was an R-rated Marvel movie and the direction they're taking things with, like the Punisher and Daredevil and things like that. You know, it just doesn't feel to me like it's aged to the point where it's like, oh, you remember their first attempts? Like we spoke the other week how I'd gone back and watched all the Spider-Man movies, and Sam Raimi's first attempt at Spider-Man 1 is dreadful, man. There is stuff within that movie that's almost like the Batman TV show, you know?
Yeah, and it's the same when you go back, and even if you go back and watch the first and second Iron Man movies, there's bits in that where you're like, you thought that was cool.
And I never once had that experience with this when watching Blade. I think it holds up incredibly well.
Yeah, you want a really corny superhero movie, go and watch the very, very first Hulk with Eric Bana.
Yeah, that one's bad. That was really bad. To the point where they incorporate like comic storyboards and stuff in it. It's like, oh, yeah, you're not getting the vibe here, are you?
I think is it Nick Nolte who plays the villain in that? I'm sure it is. It's bad.
I think so. Yeah.
It is really bad. I'm going to keep my score of 3.5 for this. I think that's fair for what this movie was and is. I probably enjoy it more than that, but I think 3.5 is where I'm sticking.
Yeah, I was really elated by my rewatch, and again, it's bumped it up massively. You know, for me, I've always said Blade 2 is a 5 out of 5 movie, barring again the wonky CGI fight sequences in that film. It's the one with the backlighting where it looks like PS2 Blade fighting the girl with the vampire goggles. That's a really, really hard scene to digest. But I always loved Blade 2, and for me, that movie usually would be like, yeah, that's a 5 out of 5 experience for me. And again, Blade 1, it's bumped up, man. It's bumped up. I've trashed this movie for years, and I'm walking away today sticking with a 4.5.
Those fair scores. We have no voicemails this week. You can send us a voicemail. We'll play it on the air. You get to hear your voice. You don't need to call a phone number on Instagram or on X. Literally go to send us a DM, record an audio message. We'll play it out on the air. You can also record a TikTok, providing you don't add any music to it, and just tag us and we'll play that on the air as well. We have had a lot of comments on Spotify that we haven't touched for ages, though. So Chaz went with Robert Patrick runs at 12 miles an hour in his prime, which is fucking fast. This episode was great. Savoring it like a steak dinner. That's a nice, tasty podcast. That was on the Faculty episode. Adgul, really enjoyed this episode. You've convinced me to give Ghost Ship another go. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. Cracking stuff, gents.
Thank you very much.
That was obviously on the Ghost Ship episode. This one from 28 years later, the one where you and me had a domestic. Lee, I'm sorry, Mark. I completely agree with Scott. This movie is utter shite. Like Scott says, I don't want to have to watch 2 other movies to understand what happened with the Power Rangers at the end. And then the last one, this comes...
usually me that bitch is like that about needing another movie, but I got it. I got it from what it was showing in that instance. I didn't need any more movies to explain it.
This one, I can't remember what episode this comes from, so I'm really sorry, Ben. Ben commented, that Arnie clip. Another quality episode, boys. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, I can't remember that either.
There was an Arnie clip I used, and it was like hook to a spin on that thing, and I can't remember what it was from. 3-word review this week. We had a hell of a lot. We had a lot of duplicates or ones that were very, very similar. So I've lumped you all together. We had Vampire Blood Rave, like every different variation of Blood Rave. These came from Imitation Dave, Alan Lund, Beware the Moon, Yamityville Horror, and a selection of others. We had like 30 that were something Blood Rave. We've got Benjamin Parkin went with best opening ever. I'm assuming he means the club, not the bit at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Joe Lazarek, one bad motherfucker. Older nerdy bastard went with Bloody Good Time. Works for me.
Works for me.
Pop culture reflections, legitimate Marvel classic.
Yeah,
Completely agree with that.
It's a cornerstone of what Marvel has become.
Camp Krusty, tax evading Daywalker. And the Machine Gun Eddie broke every rule to 3-word review, but I'm going to let it slide. So he took the phrase, some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate up a hill, and he just blocked the words together so it made 3 words.
Yeah, that's worth a pass.
It definitely works for me.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
We have a game. I am your hero. We established earlier you have a hero complex, so if you don't do well at this game, you're not allowed to have a hero complex anymore. What?
I said save because you almost fucked it.
I did. So how this works is I have a selection of villains. I have 5 from vampire movies, and I have 5 from superhero movies. I'm going to tell you the name of the villain, and all you have to do is tell me who is the hero who goes against them.
All right, okay.
So we're going to start easy. I've made this really simple at the beginning, so you can kind of get to grips with it. Deacon Frost.
Blade. So do I have to guess what I think would be the best hero to go against it, or what is the actual villain?
What is the actual hero who goes against it?
Okay. Right. So Blade for Deacon. Obviously.
Yeah, so it's effectively Snap. You're matching the villain with the hero with the villain that I give you. The Joker.
Batman.
That's correct. Jan Valek.
Who's Jan Valek?
He's a vampire.
Yeah, well, give me some context. Like, what movie's Jan Valek in?
No, because that makes it too easy for you. It's a movie we reviewed this year.
A vampire movie?
Yeah.
Valek.
Yeah, we reviewed it this year. One of the first movies we reviewed in 2026. In fact, we've reviewed all of the vampire movies on this list.
Fuck. I mean, obviously, I know the name Valek.
You do. Think of vampire movies we've covered this year.
Oh, dude, I don't know what we covered last week. I remember the fucking start of the year. Vampire movies that we've covered on the show. I know we've done Fright Night, but that was not this year.
No, that was like 2 years ago, maybe longer.
I don't remember covering any vampire movies this year.
Okay, well, you're going to pass on this one?
No, I'm not passing.
No, I think you should, because I think it would just be fucking hilarious when I reveal what movie it is.
Give me another clue. Give me a slight clue.
There's a section in this movie where a woman is tied to a bed for a prolonged period of time.
How the fuck am I not remembering what movie this is?
I have no idea.
A vampire movie, a woman is tied to a bed for a long period of time.
A very long period of time. Why a guy sits and eats a burger, in fact.
Oh, right. Yes, James Woods.
It is, I'll give you that. It's Jack Crow. It's John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yes.
That was the vampire movie we covered this year. Vampires.
Yes. Right. Okay. That was poor from me. I do apologize.
That was terrible. The Mandarin.
Iron Man. Is it?
Is Iron Man. Well done. Santanico Pandemonium.
What? That sounds like a country.
No, this is a vampire. It's another vampire movie that we've covered, and we've even spoken about it on this episode.
Oh shit. Santanico Pandemonium. And we've talked about it. No,
we have. We've spoken about this movie on this episode, and even named the character who is this person's hero.
Santanico Pandemonium. And we've reviewed the movie.
We have reviewed the movie. It's one of our most listened to episodes of all time.
Fuck. I am not very good at this. I don't remember referring to the Lost Boys on this episode, even though I should have done when Deacon Frost did his super weird half werewolf, half vampire dive across the cave. Santiago Pandemonium. Oh, I don't know. Tell me.
The movie is From Dusk Till Dawn, and
and I was thinking like some sort of Mexican Spanish twist to it as well, and I still couldn't get it.
And the heroes are the Gecko brothers, or well, Seth Gecko to be specific.
Yeah.
Right, Abomination.
Shit, man. Oh no, the Hulk. I was gonna say obviously the Hulk. I was gonna say like who is the Hulk's like who could fight the Hulk, but obviously the Hulk is the one who would do the fighting here.
Yeah. Jerry Dandridge.
That is Fright Night. But I can't remember the guy from fucking Fright Night.
There's two heroes. There's the old vampire hunter and there's the young boy. I'll take either one of them as a correct answer.
Mr. Rogers.
It was Peter Vincent, or you could have had Charlie Brewster.
Charlie Brewster. Fuck's sake. How?
Lex Luthor.
Superman.
Yeah, here we go. Last two are the two hardest ones, which doesn't fill me with confidence now.
No.
Luthos.
Luthos.
We've reviewed this. You hated it. You threatened to burn your copy of it.
Buffy.
Yeah, Buffy Summers, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And finally, this is not a movie. It is a movie, but it's not a horror movie. It is not Marvel. I'm going to give some clues with this. And it centers around aliens. The villain is Vilgax.
So it's not horror.
It's not horror.
Not Marvel.
Not Marvel, but the hero is a true hero. In fact, he's multiple heroes.
He's multiple heroes. He's got multiple personalities, or
he can become many heroes, like double-digit heroes.
That is the most weirdly encrypted bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
He travels around with his grandfather and his sister. He's got a really fucking cool watch.
Rick and Morty?
No, he's got a really cool watch.
Bernard's watch?
No, he turns his watch to select the monster he wants to be, and then he smashes it.
Oh, dude, I don't know Ben 10 bullshit.
Oh no, your kids are not really the right age, are they? I thought
Is it Ben 10?
Yeah, I thought Ben 10 was your generation.
No. That was like I did the Pokemon thing, and then like after that was Digimon, and I think Ben 10 was like Digimon era to the point where I was too cool for Pokemon by that point. So I didn't. It was like on the cusp, but I was too cool for school by the time Ben 10 came out.
Jack went through a Ben 10 phase, and
yeah, I'm not the same age as Jack. You know that, don't you? I know you're a lot older than me, but like not that much older than me.
No, but it was thoroughly enjoyable for me as an adult. I was there going, this dude's really cool. It's a little kid, and he could turn into 10 different aliens. And then it blew my fucking mind when I got to like season 4. I was watching this like, oh wow, now he's got a new watch, and he can turn into 10 different aliens. He's got both watches. He could be 20 aliens. This is the greatest thing ever.
I would never have got that. It was only because of a random guess that I said Ben 10.
Well, I think you've done all right. And I can see that you're nice and relaxed and you're drinking your beer. So
He's the king of the spool, the lord of the stack. If it's on magnetic tape, there's no turning back. From the floor to the ceiling, he's a mastermind hoarder, keeping analog alive on the edge of the border. Rewind, the night under the static flip. It's Mark, VHS from the crypt.
I got to see how you reacted, but no one else did. As soon as that hit your screens, on my little screen where I could see Mark, there was sheer panic. Sat forward, put the beer down, like dived across the room to grab whatever he's got in his hand. That was amazing.
I was just literally thinking the exact same thing. I was like, he should do an outtake segment of every time he hits play of me going, "Oh shit," scrambling to find what the fuck I'm trying to do. At least it's better than last week's where I have actually prepared something today. So obviously I have my copy of Blade, which is now probably going to get a lot more watched than it ever has been. I've never watched this copy of Blade, but I have always watched this copy of Blade 2, which is fantastic. Blade Trinity, on the other hand, whoo! Now that is a tape that is like a grail tape for me. Oddly enough, not because I like the movie. I've already discussed my disdain for Blade Trinity on tonight's episode. But there are certain movies that came out on the very cusp of DVD release that got very, very limited and marginal VHS rental releases. And Blade Trinity is amongst like the last of the last, like the dying phases. Like there are copies of it, and it's spoken about within communities of being like one of those ones that no one's ever seen in real life. They've seen
Is it whispered in the same way that vampires whisper Blade's name?
It is indeed. It is indeed. And it's like one of those things where like, I don't want it because I don't like the movie that much, but I want the badge of honor of being the person who owns a copy of it. Because throughout, like, let's say there is 10,000 VHS collectors out there in the world.
Yeah.
And there is only 400 copies of Blade Trinity. Everybody wants the bragging rights to say they've got that copy. And I'm one of those people. Like, it's on my saved eBay searches. Some motherfucker on the Facebook group the other week, probably about 6 weeks ago, he found a copy. And I've always said to you as well, haven't I? Like, sometimes if you're after something, if you really want something that's usually quite expensive on eBay and things like that, don't type in what you want, misspell it. Misspell the thing that you want. Like, not obviously misspell, but like just a basic typo. Because 9 times out of 10, there might be a seller out there who has something that's worth fucking gold that they'll put on a 1p starting bid. But because they've misspelt the header for the sailing list, it goes unnoticed. And that's what this dude did on Facebook when he found a copy of Blade Trinity. He got it for like £6, you know.
Oh, wow.
And that's like, it's like a 70, 80, 90 pound tape, and he picked it up for like £6. And everybody in the group was like, "Why have you come here, dickhead? Like, nobody likes you for this," you know. And he found a copy of it, and I've seen a couple pop up from time to time, and you can get the odd one in the small box retail tape, but the X rental version is like pure rocking horse shit. You know, it's really, really difficult to find. I know a few people that do have it. I'm
going to take a wild swing and say Gareth at Videotations has got a copy.
He will probably have a copy, and
he's probably got 4.
I will eventually own a copy. Don't get me wrong, and when I do get it, I will sing it from the rooftops that I finally located it. But I love I love the Blade movies because they're entertainment in video as well. And entertainment in video is really cool because everything is uniformed on the spines, which is one thing that I really like about entertainment in video. It's always in white. The header spacing's the same. The logo's at the top. It all just, if I put all my entertainment in video movies together, it just looks fucking fantastic, you know, because they're all so uniformed, like you've bought them from an issued magazine each month.
Yeah.
But I do want the Blade Trinity to complete this set, if nothing else, just for bragging rights, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, that's it. That's my little bit of info. And if anybody has an X-Rental copy of Blade Trinity that they didn't realize they had, and it's just been sat there in a box in the loft, message me. I will pay you good money for it.
Mark will pay you £6.50, which is more than the guy found it for in the Facebook group.
That's the going rate apparently at the moment.
Yeah.
I will give you £10. including delivery.
I'll give you £12 just so I can own it to annoy Mark.
Fuck you, man. You would as well.
I'd give you £12 and then I would burn it just to show you that I had it, and I could do that.
You would as well. You'd do that to me, man, and that's what's annoying about you as a person.
I still have a limited edition Halloween DVD that I need to burn in the summer.
I would throw a sheer rage at you if you did. In fact, I'd punch you. I'll punch you in the face for love of horror if you do that to me.
That's not very nice. Make sure you go and follow Mark. He is at VHS from the Crypt on Instagram. He's also at Reviews from the Crypt. At VHS from the Crypt, you get to see a hell of a lot more of what he's just shown us, plus a whole host of other cool shit that he's collected. Reviews from the Crypt, he talks about movies sporadically as and when he can be bothered, as and when he gets there. Follow him on VHS from the Crypt. That's where you get to get the most out of Mark. So make sure you go and do that. And that is the end of the episode. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's listening, especially the last 4 weeks. So I don't know what we've done in the last month, but whatever it is, we're going to try and keep doing it because our listener numbers have skyrocketed.
I've been pretty much on my game recently, I'll be honest.
That's your hero complex in full
no, not hero. It's just factual, you know. I've been pretty good at the minute. I'm on a good vibe at the minute, so yeah. You're welcome, guys. You know, I hope you're enjoying.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know what it is. Like, we've always had decent listener numbers, and like the last 4 weeks, I checked and I'm like, that can't be right. And then I check again, like 2 days. So I'm like, shit. Okay, well, we're doing something right. So a huge thank you for everyone who's supporting us and listening along and getting us into chart positions. It's really, really appreciated. Next week, we are back with a newer release for April. We do a newer release each month. We're going to do Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. And I promise there will be lots of jokes around Here I Come on that episode.
Have you seen Ready or Not 2 yet?
I have.
Do I need to watch the first one to watch the second one? Because I haven't seen Ready or Not 1 yet.
You've not seen Ready or Not?
No, I haven't.
Oh no, you were sick the week that we done Ready or Not on the show.
Yeah.
Ready or Not's a great movie. I would probably recommend watching it. For context to the second, watch a kill count of Ready or Not, and you'll have enough. You'll have enough.
I will watch it now. I will watch it. We've got time. We're out of half-term month anyway, so I could probably do Ready or Not 1 and 2 in a night anyway.
Yeah,
I'll get them both done because otherwise that's just going to be weird. Because apparently it continues. Given what I know of that movie from the trailer, I'm kind of feeling like I have had to have seen the first one. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of things that aren't going to make sense.
It follows literally straight on, but I'll be honest, you could cliff note. Ready or Not's great, but it's not a very deep movie. You could cliff note it and go into the second one and understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch both. Like the first one's great. I really like the first one. It's such a good movie.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll do it. I'll watch them both. So
yeah, your homework this week is go and watch Ready or Not 2. And if you haven't seen the first one, go and watch Ready or Not 1 and 2. We'll be back next week. Have a wonderful week. And until then, guess we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
What the fuck was that? Goodbye.
I just felt it. I felt it in the moment.
Bye, guys.
You want to die tonight?
You're on podcast. You're on podcast.
Late at night, I tune into your show where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in as you pick apart movies on murder and sin. Scott and Mark set the scene. I hang on every word, lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's fucking long round ups.
You're on podcast, horror movie review, sharing facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after you fled.
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
Catch you fuckers had a bad time?